Shabbat Shalom. We will begin here in just a few moments. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Agudath Israel Etz Ahayem Synagogue here in Montgomery, Alabama. I am Rabbi Scott Kramer. Thank you for joining us for our Kabbalat Shabbat service. We can take a collective breath. We've made it to Shabbat. I hope everyone has had a wonderful week. And I'm looking forward to being with you for the next hour or so. Actually, for Shabbat as well. So we are praying out of Siddur Lev Shalem for Shabbat and festivals. And we begin tonight's service with Shalom Aleichem, page 5. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Boachim l'shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem l'shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. We continue, page 11, Psalm 95. Lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena ladonai. Lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena ladonai. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, nekad mafana betoda. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, Bizmirot naria lo, lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena ladonai, lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena ladonai. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, nekad mafana betoda. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, Bizmirot lo. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God, raising our voice in song. Great is Adonai, a greater sovereign than all other deities. God's hands formed the earth's deep. Mountain crests, too, are God's work. The sea is God's, for God made it. Dry land was fashioned by God's hands. Come then, let us bow and kneel. Let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai who formed us. For Adonai is our God, and we are God's flock, sheep in God's caring hands. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted, like the people at Merivah, like that time at Massah in the desert, when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. For 40 years I was troubled by that generation, and I said, these are a people whose hearts have gone astray. They do not know my way. So in anger I swore they would not enter my rest. 40 shana kut bedor va'omar am toeh levavim v'hem lo yad derachai asher nishpati v'api im yavaun el menuchati. Page 13. Ashiru ladonai shir chadash, shiru ladonai kol haaretz, shiru ladonai baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru vagoyim kivodo, bechol amim nifleotav, ki gadol Adonai. O mehulal miyod, no rao, al ko Elohim, lai lai lai, kiko Elohe, ha'amim elilim, va'adonai shamayim asa, hod ve'hadar lefanav, oz ve'tiferet b'mikdasho, havu ladonai mishpachot amim, havu ladonai kavod vos, havu ladonai kivod shemo, seu mincha, uvo lechadzrod of lai lai lai, shtachavu ladonai, behadrat kodesh, chilu mipanav kol haaretz, imrum vagoyim, Adonai malach, avtikum tevel balatimot, yadinamim beme sharim, yismechu hashamayim v'tagil haaretz, ayiram mayamu melo, yalo sadai, v'chol asher bo lai lai lai, az yiranenu kol hatziyar lifnei Adonai kiva, kivo lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, v'yamim b'emunato, yalai la lai lai, yai la 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, la lai la lai la lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai. We continue on page 15 with Psalm 97. Adonai reigns, let the earth be glad, the many distant lands rejoice. Clouds and thick darkness surround the divine. Righteousness and justice secure God's throne. Fire goes before God, consuming besiegers round about. Flashes of lightning illumine the land. The earth watches and trembles. Mountains melt like wax at the approach of Adonai, at the approach of the Master of all the earth. The heavens tell of God's righteousness, and all the nations see God's glory. Worshippers of idols, be shamed for praising false gods. All that is deemed supreme bow before God. Zion hears of it and rejoices. The cities of Judah exult as you, Adonai, pass judgment. You, Adonai, are above all that is earthly, exalted over all that is worshipped as divine. Those who love Adonai hate evil. God protects the lives of the faithful, saving them from the hands of the sinful. Light is sown for the righteous and joy for the upright. Rejoice in Adonai, you righteous people, and thank God as you pronounce the divine holy name. Or Zarula Tzadik Ulishralev Simcha, Simchu Tzadikim Badonai, Vodu Alezecher Kadeshom. Page 17. Psalm 98. Mizmor shiru ladonai shir chadash ki niflot asa hoshia lo yemino Uzaroa Kochuadia Adonai Yeshuato Le'ena Goyim Gilat Kato Zachar Chasta Ve'emunato Leveit Yisrael Ra'u Cholav Se'aretz Et Yeshuat Eloheinu Horiu Ladonai Kol Haaretz Pitchum Veranenu V'zameru Zamru Ladonai Bechinar V'kol Zimera Bechatzot Rod V'kol Shofar Horiu Lifnei HaMelech Adonai Yiramayam U'Maloho Tevel V'Yoshveva Neharot Yimcha Uchaf Yachad Arim Yiranenu Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishpot Aretz Yishpot Tevel B'Tzedek V'yamim B'Mesharim Yalai Yalai La 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 Yalai La 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 Yalai La 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 Yalai La 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 Yalai La 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 Yalai la 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 la, yalai la 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 la, yalai la 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 la. We continue with Psalm 99 on page 19. Adonai reigns, nations tremble. The one enthroned amidst the cherubim makes the world quake. Adonai is great in Zion above all nations. They shall acknowledge your name, saying, Great, all-inspiring, Holy One. A sovereign strength lies in the love of justice, and you forge the paths of truth, judging Jacob righteously and justly. Exalt Adonai, our God. Bow down before God, the Holy One. Moses and Aaron among God's priests, and Samuel among those who called upon the divine name. Called to you, and you answered them. You spoke to them from amidst the cloud. They kept your covenant and the law you gave them. You answered them, Adonai, our God. You are a forgiving God to them, even as you punish them for their transgressions. Exalt Adonai, our God, and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai, our God, is holy. Romemu Adonai Elohim v'ishtachavu la'ar kadosho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. We rise, if you are able, page 21, Psalm 29. Mizmor leDavid, havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kavod shemo, ishtachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh. Kol Adonai alamayim el hakavod yirim, Adonai amayim amayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, v'yishaber Adonai et alzei alvanon. Vayarkidem kemo egel Levanon v'Sirion kemo vendremim. Kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yechol ayalot. Vayechasot Yeharot uvechalo kulo omer kavod, kulo omer kavod. Adonai lamabul yashav, vayeshev Adonai melech leolam. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom, et amo Etan Mova Shalom. You may be seated. We continue with Lechadodi, page 23. Lechadodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lechadodi likrat kala P'nei Shabbat nikabela, Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Ishmiyanu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shamahu echad, L'shemu tiferet v'litila, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela, Lekrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, Ki mikora biracha merosh mikedem nesucha, Sov maaseh b'machshvat chila, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela, Mikdash melech ir melucha, Kumitzi mitocha hafecha, Rav lach shevet, B'yemek habacha, V'uyachamohu alaychem la, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela, Itnarim me'afar kumi, Livshevik de tifartecha mi, Ayad ben Yishai, Beit alachmi, Karva el nafshi geyala, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela, Hitoreri, Kiva ore kumi ori, shir daberi, Kivod Adonai alayich nigla, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela, lo tevoshi v'lo tikami, matish tochachi umatemi bach, yechasu ani yami v'nivnata yir, al tila lecha dodi lekrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela, v'hayulem shisa, Shawasayich v'rachakuko mivalayich, Yasis alayich Elohayich, Kim chatzchatan al kala, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela, Yamin usma tifrotzi v'yet Adonai taritzi hayarish, Ben parti v'nismecha avinagila, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. We rise as we face towards the west to greet the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam besimcha uvetzala, toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, Lecha dodi lekrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nikabela. You may be seated. Continue with Psalm 92 on page 27. A psalm, the song of the day of Shabbat. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and sing to your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. Finger the lute, pluck the harp, let the sound of the lyre rise up. You gladden me with your deeds, Adonai, and I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai, how subtle your designs. The arrogant do not understand. The fool does not comprehend this. And the wicked flourish like grass, and every evildoer blossoms only to be destroyed forever. But you, Adonai, are exalted for all time. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high. You anointed it with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady, for my ears listen and hear. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming, Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no flaw. Tzadik tamar yifrach, ki erez balvanon yiske shitulim bevet Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim verananim yeyu leagid Ki yashar Adonai tzuri v'lo avlatabo. Page 29, Psalm 93. Adonai is sovereign, robed in splendor, girded in strength. The earth stands firm, not to be dislodged. From earliest time you were enthroned, you are eternal. The rivers rise up, Adonai, the rivers raise up their roar. The rivers raise up their waves. Above the roar of the vast sea and the majestic breakers of the ocean, Adonai stands supreme in the heavens. In your house, beautiful in its holiness, your testimonies endure, Adonai, for all time. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to everyone. I'm so glad you're here celebrating Shabbat with me, with us. We are starting this week the third parashah of the book of Genesis, the third parashah of the entire Torah, the portion that's called Lech Lecha. We get reintroduced. Abraham was introduced last week, but now at the beginning of this portion, Lech Lecha, Abraham gets the call from God to leave his father's house, his home, and the place of his birth to go to an unknown destination. Abraham takes his wife Sarah and nephew Lot with him. Sarah has not been able to have children and is much aggrieved at God for not allowing her to provide Abraham with a son. She also happens to be 86 years old. As was the custom in those days, Sarah gives to Abraham her handmaid, Hagar, an Egyptian, so Sarah might have a child through surrogacy. Hagar conceives quickly and gives birth to Ishmael. Sarah mistreats Hagar and is angry at her for having been so quick to give birth. Sarah afflicts Hagar with hard labor and with harsh words, making living there intolerable. Hagar cannot take the abuse and runs away with the child. God sends an angel to find her and let her know that her son will be a father of 12 tribes and a great nation. Before the angel gives her this hopeful message, he approaches her with these words. From where are you coming, and to where are you going? Rashi says that the angel of God, of course, knew the answer to both questions, but this was an opening to enter with her a conversation. Rashi is in fact giving us, as he does on several occasions, an ethical way to live our lives by telling us how to engage each other in conversation without being who are hiding after eating from the forbidden apple, God simply says, Ayeka, where are you? After Cain murders Abel, God asks him, where is your brother? God, in his rather inane questions, is not judging, but asking for a thorough self-examination of their actions. The idea of self-examination of our character traits is what we just went through with the high holidays. And this also reminds me that several months ago, I was approached by Rabbi Steve Silberman of Avas Chesed Mobile with the idea of taking a class together from the Institute of Jewish Spirituality and explore the Jewish concepts of midot, or character traits, and how we deal with real-life situations. Rabbi Steve and I have discovered a lot about ourselves through honest self-exploration and how we approach difficult dilemmas in life through the practice of mindfulness. Through the class, we have practiced tikkun midot, fine-tuning our innate character traits so that there's a greater alignment between our inner world and the way we interact with the outer world. For instance, tikkun midot practice can help when you want to be more patient, but you find yourself losing your temper. When you want to speak more compassionately, but you find anger and resentment creeping into your voice. When you want to be generous, but you find yourself closing your hand and your heart to others. When you know you should speak up, but you struggle to find the inner strength and courage to do so. We do this with 3 techniques of analysis. Hitlamdut, non-judgmental curiosity or attention to the truth of our experience. From where are you coming? And then we reach the Bechira point. Through choice or awareness, we see more clearly our options for responding wisely in situations to which we habitually react or overreact. To where are you going? And finally, we get to tshuva, a return to our innate and balanced character trait by making the right choices for us. Rabbi Steve has been my chavruta for this class, my study partner, and together we have learned to answer these basic questions through life's struggles. I feel like I am more patient, more attentive, less likely towards anger or resentment, all from 2 simple questions. From where have you come? And to where are you going? Shabbat Shalom. We now continue with Ma'ariv. Ask everyone to please rise if you're able. Page 39a, the call for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and light, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzavaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. U'mahavir yom mevi laila, mavdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai Tzavaot Shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu lamvoed Baruch atah Adonai. Amari v'aravim, page 40. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amchavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachveinu v'kumeinu nesiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובאו הם מנהגי יומם ולילה, ועבדך תשים ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha. V'hayu advarim ha'ele Asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinanatam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shachpecha v'kumecha v'kshartam liot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'ninecha uchtav dam nam zuzot beitecha uv'isharecha Vaya'im Shemo Tishma'u El Mitzvotai. Vayomer Adonai Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael v'yamarta lehem v'yasu lehem tzitzit al kanfei v'gdehem ladoratam v'natnu al tzitzit akana petil techelet v'haya lachem letzitzit oritem oto u'schartem et kol mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam V'lo tatu acharei levavachem v'acharei nechem asher tem zonim achareihem leman dizgaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kadoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etechem me'eretz Mitzrayim leot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem page 43a. This is our enduring affirmation binding on us that Adonai is our God and there is none other, and we, Israel, are God's people. God is our sovereign, redeeming us from earthly rulers, delivering us from the hand of all tyrants, bringing judgment upon our oppressors and just retribution upon all our mortal enemies, performing wonders beyond understanding and marvels beyond all reckoning. God places us among the living, not allowing our steps to falter, and leads us past the false altars of our enemies, exalting us above all those who hate us. Adonai avenged us with miracles before Pharaoh, offered signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. God brought Israel from its midst to lasting freedom and led them to divided waters of the Sea of Reeds. As their pursuers and enemies drowned in the depths, God's children beheld the power of the divine. They praised and acknowledged God's name. Page 44. Umachuta brachun kibalea Moshe uvnei sklachanishira b'simcha rabba v'yamaru chulam mi chamocha bo'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedor b'kodesh nora tehilot osefele machutecha uvnecha bekei al yam lifnei Moshe zeli anu v'yamaru Adonai yimloch le'olam voed v'nehemar ki v'ada Adonai et Yaakov ugolod min chazak mimenu baruch Adonai ka'al Yisrael. Page 45. Ashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu. Ushmotzetenu vein l'chaim u'shlamiyata v'yad olam u'fosel inuskat shlemecha baruch Adonai haboretz ukat shalom aleinu v'yal kolam o Yisrael v'yal Yerushalayim. We rise if you're able. Page 46. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barit olam. V'yom shvi shavat v'yinafash shavat v'yinafash shavat v'yinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barit olam. We rise for the silent Amidah for Friday night, pages 47 through 52. Pray in the language that is most comfortable for you, Hebrew and in English, or the best of all, the language of the heart. Shalom Rav Yisroel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisroel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atah melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atah melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisroel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisroel Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amecha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. We rise as the ark is open, page 56, for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol atet gdula l'yotzer bereshit shelo asanu kagoyei haratzot v'lo samanu kamishmachot hadama shelo sam chelkeinu kaim v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Notei Shamayim V'Yosed Haaretz, U'Moshev Yikaro B'Shamayim Imao, U'Shchinatu Zo, B'Gavei Meromim, U'Eloheinu Einod, Emet Malkeinu Evazulato, Kakatu B'Torato, V'yadat hayom v'ashevota elevavecha ki Adonai Elohim b'shamayim mimal v'al haaretz mi tachat ein od al kein dikvelach Adonai Eloheinu lirot meher b'tiferet duzacha lahavi gelulim min haaretz ha'elilim karat yikaretum latakin olam b'malchut shaddai chom b'vasar giru v'shmecha lahafnan elecha korishe haaretz kiru v'yedu kol yoshvei tevel ki lechatecha V'kol berek tishava kol hashon lefanech Adonai Eloheinu yichru lipolo v'lichvod shimcha yikaritenu v'kablu chulam et ol malchutecha v'timloch aleihem heralam voed ki hamachot shelcha hi olamei ad timloch bechavod kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch leolam voed V'ne'emar v'hai Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom ma'hu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shamo echad. We are seated. This week, we will observe yahrzeits for Sarah Cami Hassan, Tilly Byrne, Edward Rosenthal, Meyer Reuben Miller, Gizzy London, Mark London, Rachel Piha, Tootsie Plotka, Ruth Siegel, Julius Silverberg, Saul Byrne, Catherine Beaton, Marion Fast, Jean Halbin, Helen Held, and Katie Shinbaum. Those observing Yahrzeit and those who mourn, please rise, page 58, for the Kaddish Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash me rabba v'yoma divrach chirutei v'yamlech malchutei v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayedechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman karivi mahu amen yehesh me rabba mevarach le'elam omel maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitchomam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha barichu Leilam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran b'yoma v'yimaru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. You may be seated. Thank you for joining us for Kabbalat Shabbat. Services will continue tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. And then we will end, just like we began Shabbat together, we'll end Shabbat together on Zoom for our Havdalah, for the Alabama Community Virtual Havdalah, which is tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. I hope you can all join us. We have so much fun, and we look forward to it for such a spiritual, musical, words of Torah way to end Shabbat. It's just absolutely wonderful, and I hope that you can all join us. If you did not get the link, please email me, rabbi@agudathmontgomery.com, and I'll make sure you get the link before the service starts. This week, of course, we will have Monday and Thursday services at 7:15 a.m. I wish we could say with breakfast following, but maybe sometime in the future we'll be able to say that. And maybe sometime at the beginning of the year. We can only pray and hope that this pandemic will end at some point and that we can get back to the way things used to be, if we can even remember that far, that far in the past. Next Thursday evening, I will be on a part of a program called the put on by Israel Team Advocates, which is ostensibly a Christian group that wants to emphasize how we need to battle anti-Semitism, and it's really a celebration of the Jewish people. Coach Bruce Pearl of Auburn basketball will be speaking at this event. I will be speaking. A Southern Baptist minister, Al Jackson, who I have become very good friends with, he's from Lakeview Baptist Church in Auburn, will be speaking. This event will take place at Fraser Methodist on Atlanta Highway, and it'll be at 7 p.m. I am told that they will be practicing masking and social distancing. At least I will be masked and social distanced. And I believe that the event will be taped and will be on the internet somewhere, but I haven't figured that part out yet. But I always look forward to hearing Coach Pearl and his pearls of wisdom. So with that, I wish all of you a Shabbat Shalom. We will conclude our service on page 211 with Adon Olam. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'ed nasa v'chefso ko, azai melech shemo nikra, azai melech shemo nikra, v'yachare kichlot hakol leva, ado yimloch nora, v'hu haya v'hu hoveh, v'hu yiyeh b'tifara, v'hu yiyeh b'tifara, v'hu echad v'yein sheni l'ham shelo le'achbira, b'li reshit, b'li tachlit, v'lo ha'oz v'ham misra, v'lo ha'oz v'ham misra, v'hu eli v'chai go'ali v'tzor chevlim b'yetzara, v'hu nisi umanosli minat kosi b'yom mekra, minat kosi b'yom mekra, b'yado afkid ruchi b'yet ishan v'yaira, v'yimaruchi kiviyati, Adonai li v'lo ira, Adonai li v'lo ira. I did not see this until now, but Yvette Hochberg adds Regina Labato to the yard site list. And there are those hearts coming. I love those hearts. Shabbat Shalom. We miss all of you. I miss all of you. I miss seeing all of you. So maybe soon. Shabbat Shalom.